Thanks for tuning into the FinTech Flo. I want to give you a heads up that if you are looking for CPE credits, this is eligible for 1 hour. If you'd like to learn more, check out the link in our description to get those credits. Hope you enjoy the episode.
What's going on, everybody? This is a very special episode of the FinTech Flo. I am your co-host, Drew Carrick, the Rapping CPA, producer here at FloQast Studios.
I'm Mike Whitmire, co-founder, CEO of FloQast, inactive CPA.
If this setup looks a little bit different to you, for those who are watching the video, it's because we are in a different setup, same room, but we have a special episode here where, I am an active CPA.
I'm an inactive CPA.
And we're going to find out.
Trying to get active again.
And we're going to find out if ChatGPT can actually become an active CPA itself.
Yeah, this is really exciting. So very special episode of the FinTech Flo, but I would say if there's anything in the FinTech world to cover off on, it's probably the AI that we're all concerned about taking everyone's jobs. So I'm excited to hop into this one and see what OpenAI's got.
Yeah, so we'll find out right now if ChatGPT can get the correct answers to the CPA exam. We've gone ahead and selected 40 questions. I'm not sure we'll get to all of them, but 10 from each of the sections: audit, REG, FAR, and BEC. And
I'm excited for this. So when the documentation came out around the new one, they had all this information about which of the tests the various GPT levels passed, and you see on there like the LSATs getting passed no problem. You got even the GMAT and the BISCL, but I didn't see the CPA exam on there. I didn't see that one getting checked off. So I'm really curious to see how GPT does through all this.
There's a reason I left that exam crying.
It's been 15 years. I'm a little concerned if I can get any of these right myself. So we're going to be using GPT 3.5 today, right? We also have access to GPT-4, which is more powerful. However, you're a little limited on the number of prompts you're able to do. So what we're going to do here is, if it gets it wrong on 3.5, we'll kick over to 4 and see if we can get it right, and kind of have a little back and forth, even test like how much it's been able to progress just in a short period of time here.
Yeah, is one GPT smarter than the other GPT?
Yep, which they are. So, and it's scary. But let's find out.
It's happening quickly. All right, so let's get our questions going here. Well, let's prompt it and let it know.
Yeah, so maybe we can explain how it works a little bit.
Sure,
So we want to start by, we're going to prompt GPT, we're going to tell it, explain the context, who you are, what we're about to do, and really kind of get the AI going in that mode. So let's start off with something like, you're a CPA candidate taking the CPA exam. We're going to ask you some multiple choice questions. Please select whichever answer you think is correct.
I am not capable of taking the CPA exam. However, I can certainly help you answer multiple choice questions related to accounting and business. Please go ahead and ask your questions, and I will do my best to provide you with accurate answers.
All right, we're off to a good start here. CPAs feel good. Let's see if I can help with these multiple choice questions.
All right. So this first one we're going to do is from audit.
So of the following fraudulent activities, which could most likely be perpetrated due to the lack of effective internal controls in the revenue cycle? So option 1, fictitious transactions may be recorded that cause an overstatement of receivables and an underestimate of revenues. Claims received from the customers for goods returned may be intentionally recorded in other customers' accounts. Authorizations of credit memos by personnel who receive cash may permit the misappropriation of cash. Or final option, the failure to prepare shipping documents may cause an overstatement of inventory balances. Let's see.
The fraudulent activity that could most likely be perpetrated due to the lack of effective internal controls in the revenue cycle is fictitious transactions may be recorded that cause an overstatement of receivables and an understatement of revenues. When there is a lack of effective internal controls in the revenue cycle, it becomes easier for employees to create fictitious transactions and manipulate accounting records to overstate the receivables and understate revenues. This could lead to financial statement fraud, which can be detrimental to an organization's reputation and cause financial losses. The other options mentioned could also be perpetrated due to weak internal controls, but the likelihood of such activities happening is lower than the first option. Now, let's check actually what the answer was. And for everybody's knowledge, the questions are coming directly from the AI CPA practice exam. So it's questions that are actually on the CPA.
Yeah, these are real CPA questions.
And the answers are coming from the AI CPA as well. So we're not making it up. We're not researching and figuring it out. This is the answer booklet that we're getting the answers from. The correct answer actually was authorization of credit memos by personnel who receive cash may permit the misappropriation of cash.
All right, so 0 for 1.
All right, let's get on to the second question here.
Which of the following characteristics most likely would heighten an auditor's concern about the risk of material misstatements arising from fraudulent financial reporting? First option, bank reconciliations usually include in-transit deposits. That feels kind of normal, honestly. Equipment is often sold at a loss before being fully depreciated. It's a little concerning. The entity's industry is experiencing declining customer demand. And finally, employees who handle cash receipts are not bonded. My guess is C. I mean, the entity's industry is experiencing declining customer demand. That might result in management pressuring fraudulent things to occur to maintain good financial statements. What do you think?
Every situation where fraud is happening is usually some sort of external pressure. That's like, we have to find a way to make our revenue look better.
In-transit deposits, very standard. Equipment being sold at a loss before, that's fine. That's not fraud. And employees handling cash receipts are not bonded. That doesn't seem like a big deal. All right, let's do it. Let's see what it says.
Do you think it's going to get it right?
I think it might get this one right.
I
don't know why, but I feel like it's going to. Yeah. I guess it's if I can get it right.
So it said employees who handle cash receipts are not bonded as its answer.
Okay, and it has a whole reason behind it, but let's see if it's correct.
Not bonding employees who handle cash receipts increases the risk of misappropriation of cash, which could lead to fraudulent financial reporting. An employee without a bond is more likely to commit fraud, as they would know that there is less a chance of getting caught.
I don't even remember what this is. What is it? What is it when you give it a? Yeah, like at least I said it out loud, man. You didn't want to say you didn't know what a bond was, but yeah.
No, I know what a bond is.
I don't know what a bond in this context. I don't know what the bond was. All right, what's the right answer?
The correct answer is the entity's industry is experiencing declining
customer
demand.
Let's go. All right.
Go Homo sapiens.
Yeah, I think that's one where, okay, we clearly don't know what bonding an employee means, but obviously there's some sort of restrictions that puts on people, but that's one where like that's very clear and you could probably read the words and say it, but you have to have context of like how do people think and what might pressure them to do something, and that's why the industry experiencing decline is really the biggest risk there. Not, no offense to a low-level employee, but they're not going to steal enough cash to where it's material and really matters, but executives can do it because of that pressure.
This seems to be just looking at, I think ChatGPT is just looking at like what is like the black and white answer of like which has the highest impact or which is a case where it is directly related to fraud or something like that. But the way that the question is worded is into the human psychology behind it. And that's where like this is from the audit section of the exam. You have to be able to cognitively think like what's motivating the individuals to try to misstate.
And where did you get these questions from? Because I'm wondering if GPT has access to like the whole internet. Yeah. So was this readily available on Google, or did you have to sign up for something?
So the really interesting way at which the AICPA does the practice exam is you have to. It gives you like a code where it actually treats you like you're in the exam room, and you have like an option to take a break. So you can't just go look it up. Like you have to copy and paste the code. Enter into the exam. If the screen goes black, it logs you out automatically. You can click an option to like take a break. It gives you 4 hours to do it, even though there's only like a margin of questions for each. But
well, that's fair. Okay, cool. So it doesn't have access to these, so it is genuinely trying to answer it based on knowledge. Awesome. All right. Let's do the next one.
Another
0 for 2 so far.
0 for 2. A CPA, such as myself, has been requested by a former audit client to reissue the auditor's report for the prior period. Before reissuing the report, the CPA should obtain a letter of representation from the former client's management, make inquiries of the former client's attorney regarding pending litigation, review the former client's records to verify its compliance with debt and loan agreements, consider whether there is substantial doubt about the former client's ability to continue as a going concern. Based on the way ChatGPT answered the first 2 questions, I feel like it's going to pick like the legal one.
Ooh, this is an interesting, us guessing what it's going to answer. Okay.
Because I mean, it seems to be thinking, oh, that one's like the highest risk, and it just kind of picks that one.
Yeah. Okay,
Let's
I like
find
it. Okay,
out.
I'm gonna wait a minute. Okay. Is that the right answer?
I believe so.
Is it?
I mean, that's what we picked.
Let's go check.
It is
All
the correct
right,
answer.
there we go. Humans and machines unite to get it correct.
Okay. So far, ChatGPT is shooting 33%.
All right.
Let's do another one from audit, and then maybe we'll move on to another section.
It cannot miss another one out of the first 5. And it's already failed. It's got to get the next 7 in a row correct to get the 75.
So we'll find out if it fails right off the bat. An entity prepares its financial statements on an income tax basis. The notes accompanying the financials include a summary of significant accounting policies that discusses the basis of presentation and describes how the basis differs from GAAP. They're using income tax instead of GAAP for their accounting records. Which of the following is the correct dollar amount of the effects of the difference between the income tax basis and GAAP. So obviously, when you depart from generally accepted accounting principles, it can impact the way your financials are presented. So our 4 options here are: it is required to be included only in the auditor's report. It is required to be included only in the notes to the financial statements. It is required to be included both in the notes to the financial statements and the auditor's report, or it need not be quantified and included in either the notes to the financial statements or the auditor's report.
I would say departing from GAAP is certainly something that should be mentioned in the audit report.
I think this is where it's one of those nuanced CPA exam
Oh, it
things,
need not,
where
you
it's
think
talking
it's
about
D
the
and
dollar amount.
Need
I
not
think
be
it's
quantified.
D, and I just don't think. I mean, you'd have to calculate what the income state. You'd have to test the income tax basis, and then you'd have to test the GAAP basis, get an actual number, and then say it's off by $300,000 in case you were wondering.
Okay.
I just don't think I've ever seen that.
I don't think so either. All right, we're in educated guess territory here, so I'm not feeling super confident, but I'm with you. I can get on board with that.
Let's see what ChatGPT has to say.
So we're going with D, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
It is required to be included both in the notes to the financial statements and the auditor's report.
All right.
Is what ChatGPT says.
I'm going to say that's the one I was kind of leaning towards when we were going through this. So
this is the type of stuff that they put on the CPA exam that's just there to get under your skin.
All right, well, let's see. I think we did drill it down to maybe 2 good options. So let's see which one of these.
There you go.
It need not be quantified. All right. Great work.
So ChatGPT fails the audit section of the CPA exam. All right, it's got 18 months to, before it loses the other ones that it may or may not have passed.
All right, so we're taking some BEC questions here. The first one, go ahead and paste
Business
it in.
environment and concepts is what BEC stands for anybody curious. A lot of the times we use these acronyms and nobody has any idea what they actually mean. Mm-hmm. So this is a straight up math question. You want to read this one?
Yeah, sure. A U.S. manufacturer has a production operation in Mexico. The product costs 116.5 pesos to produce and ship to Europe, where the product sells for 20 euros. If $0.1099 US dollars are required to buy 1 Mexican peso and $0.8928 US dollars are required to buy 1 euro, what amount of US dollars is the profit on the sale? I don't have time to do the math in my head right here, and I want to fire up Excel. I'm very confident I could answer this question with a spreadsheet and some calculator. So I'm just going to say I would have gotten this right. If it gets it wrong, I want to punch this into GPT-4 and see if GPT-4 can get it right.
Let's find out. Convert the cost in sales.
There we go. Okay.
$5.06. So it can do math.
It's time to shine. Here we go. I think it just nailed it. So
this is good. Which is so the answer is basically done by taking the pesos, multiplying it by the US dollar to peso conversion. So it costs $12.80 US dollars to make. Then you have to convert the sales price, which is 20 euros, times the US dollar conversion of 0.89. That gets you the sales is $17.86. And then at that point, it's selling for $17.86. It costs $12.80 to make. $5.06. I don't even think I have to fact check that, but we'll do it anyway.
Might as well confirm.
And $5.06.
Well done, GPT.
So guess what? ChatGPT, you could pass the part that everybody can pass.
We do need calculators for it, but which of the following decision-making techniques is most useful to a manager who is attempting to increase the profitability of an area, but who has a problem with limited capacity for operation of a critical machine?
Theory of constraints, economic order quantity, balanced scorecard, cost variance analysis. This just seems like it's just a buzzword. I was going to put a bunch of terms.
In building FloQast, these buzz terms are used very frequently by some of the outside people we chat with. So I would say, in my opinion, I think it's theory of constraints here.
So let's find out. Theory of constraints is what ChatGPT comes up with as well. The theory of constraints is a management philosophy that focuses on identifying and managing constraints, which are the limiting factors that prevent an organization from achieving its goals. You could really learn a lot from ChatGPT teaching you so far, for the ones that it gets right, at least.
Now we just need.
It'll give you a lot of really good reasoning for why it got the wrong answer.
We'll see. Yeah, hopefully it's right. I hope it's right, because that is a very confident answer they gave right there. Theory of constraints. All right, excellent. Well done. GPT, OpenAI.
It's passing BEC with flying colors so far, flawless.
Yeah.
A company predicted that it would manufacture 10,000 units of finished goods during March. The direct labor standards indicated that each unit of finished goods requires 2.4 direct labor hours at a standard wage of $20 per hour, totaling $48 per finished good unit. During March, the company actually made 9,000 units of finished goods. Production used 2.5 labor hours per finished unit, and the company actually paid $21 per hour, totaling $52.50 per unit of finished product. What amount is the company's direct labor rate variance for March? This is straight out of managerial accounting.
Yeah, so what is the company's direct labor variance for March?
Direct labor is one of those terms that was like the managerial accounting ways of the different projects and the buckets, that whether it's a work in progress, and then I don't remember any of this whatsoever because I never worked in like manufacturing.
All right, scroll down. What are the options?
Sure. So our options are 18,000, 22,500, 25,000, 40,500.
18,000.
He says it with confidence. We're going with 18,000. ChatGPT, tell us if we're right. Okay, we're getting the whole calculation here. Calculate the actual direct labor rate. The actual rate equals actual direct labor cost over actual direct labor hours.
Whoa, that's fascinating.
Whoa. Okay, so what we're looking at here, and I'm sure everybody on the screen is looking at it, it said that none of the answers are correct.
None of the above. That's not an option.
It said it's $101,250. The correct answer is not provided in the options. This just tells me that the questions themselves on the CPA exam are that confusing. If you were to logically read it as is, it just doesn't make sense. It requires a person to read between the lines and figure out what exactly is this question trying to ask.
Let's see.
Let's
see what the answer is here.
Answer is 22,500.
Oh, and it doesn't explain why. All right, humans and technology struggled on this one.
It does have rate variance equals $4.50 per hour times 22,500 hours. It's misinterpreting some piece of the data.
Yeah, well, so I think so the hours are correct, but it got a little overcomplicated, and I believe it's just the number of hours times $1 because we thought it was going to be $20 per hour. It ended up being $21 per hour, so it's just $1 discrepancy multiplied by the hours, 22,500. So it was like kind of there.
It almost had it, but again, this is just the nuance of the question itself and how it's reading it.
And then the challenge is it says it so confidently.
Right.
It's so confident when it says the correct answer is not provided in the options when it is. This is the challenge with it.
Yeah.
But, all right.
And I'm wondering,
let's put it in GPT-4.
GPT-4, are you smarter than GPT 3.5? The following is a multiple choice question from the CPA exam. One of the options is correct. Please answer.
I like you saying please.
I
think it's important. I do type please and thank you into this thing. I want it to like me when it wakes up.
All right. Taking a little longer here. Really taking its time. It's because there's a person on the other side.
GPT-4 is actually a human.
9,000 units. Actual labor hours per unit is 2.5 hours per unit. So it gets us to 22,500 hours. Now let's calculate the direct labor rate variance. The difference in labor cost is 21 minus 20 is $1 an hour. I think it's going to get it.
Okay.
Direct labor rate variance. Oh,
wow.
GPT-4 got it right.
That's something else. So from 3.5 to 4, it went from confidently telling us that the answer was not included in the multiple choice options to letting us know and explaining it very well.
That's a really good explanation.
Yeah, that was awesome.
All right, so back to 3.5. A company headquartered in the United States has operations in 27 countries. The company purchased a subsidiary to expand operations into another country last year. According to COSO, which of the following provides the strongest mechanism for monitoring controls in this new foreign venture?
All right, and the options are, number 1, an internal audit is being performed. Number 2, ethics and fraud training is being conducted. Number 3, an accounting and control manual is being distributed. Number 4, management has oversight over litigation and foreign regulation. An internal audit.
Yeah, that's the best way to ensure controls, right?
I don't know if we have to, really explain it, but it feels very straightforward. An audit is obviously the best way to monitor controls.
I wonder if it's going to think ethics and fraud training just because it mentions the word fraud in it. Not that ethics and fraud training is nonsense, but you're relying on people to actually receive.
Yeah, and you do the training once a year, and then it goes away and everything. And if
like
someone's unethical, if someone's going to steal money from you or commit fraud, a training isn't going to stop. That is the reality. But an audit where it's actually monitoring people and holding them accountable.
An internal audit is being performed. Mm-hmm. Straightforward enough.
Nice. Let's just confirm that is the correct answer. Perfect.
Yep. An internal audit is being performed.
Let's throw a REG question in there and a FAR question and see what we get.
Let's get to REG here. Okay, so this is a question from REG. The Internal Revenue Code and the regulations do not impose penalties on tax return preparers for which of the following?
Option A, failure to sign a prepared tax return as a tax preparer. B is failure to provide a copy of the prepared tax return to the taxpayer. C is failure to notify a taxpayer about an inadvertent error on a tax return filed 10 years ago. D is failure to retain copies of prepared tax returns or a list of taxpayers for whom such returns were prepared for the last 3 years.
You don't have to hold on to something from 10 years ago.
That's,
That's the statute of limitations for everything.
I agree. Yeah, you got to sign a tax return. You have to provide a copy to your client. You have to retain 3 years.
I think ChatGPT gets this one right. So it says, however, if a tax return has a substantial understatement of income, the statute of limitations is extended to 6 years. So 6 years is the max. Therefore, the failure to notify a taxpayer about an inadvertent error on tax return filed 10 years ago does not result in penalties for the taxpayer.
All right.
It could have just said that's the answer, but it walked us through it.
So main takeaway is just make sure you get away with your tax errors for 10 years and then you're good to go from this one.
As long as you make it past 6, right? And you're in the clear. So next question that we have on here. A spouse died on December 31st, year 1. The couple had no dependents. What should be the filing status of the surviving spouse in year 2? The options are single, married filing jointly, qualifying widow or widower, and head of household. The CPA exam picks the most tragic events. It picks like the craziest dates. It's like on the 31st. Imagine that. New Year's Eve and your spouse dies?
Yeah, this is horrible.
You got no kids?
All right, well, let's see if you're filing single in year 2 or not here.
Does ChatGPT have a heart?
There was an error generating a response.
Do we try it on GPT-4?
Yeah, let's try it on GPT-4.
In year 2, the surviving spouse cannot file as married filing jointly since the spouse died in the year prior. However, the surviving spouse may qualify for the qualifying widower filing status if they meet the following conditions. The surviving spouse did not remarry before the end of the year. That'd be crazy to get remarried after the next year. The surviving spouse has a child or stepchild whom they can claim, which they can't.
No kids were discussed.
They're not qualifying then. Surviving spouse provided over half the cost of maintaining a home for the entire year. Which is the main home of the dependent. Again, there's no dependent child.
Didn't talk about that, yeah.
We say in the question, it's saying if the surviving spouse does not meet these conditions, they will have to file as single. Oh. And there it goes, or answering me as I'm going over it in real time. It says in the question, the couple had no dependents. And it says here, since the question does not provide enough information about the surviving spouse's situation, it's impossible to determine whether they qualify for qualifying widower or must file as single.
So I guess the potential failure here is that third point. The surviving spouse provided over half the cost of maintaining a home for the entire year. So perhaps they
don't have a dependent, and we say that in the question. And it's because all 3 of these conditions have to be true. They have to not be remarried, they have to have a surviving dependent, and they have to have provided half the support for that providing a dependent. But we said in the question, there is no dependence. So it's all the rest of it is a non-factor. So even if 1, they didn't remarry, which we don't have that information.
Yeah.
Number 2, right off the bat, the surviving spouse has a child or stepchild of whom they can claim as a dependent. They can't because we say it in the question, so that's all the information that it needs, but it doesn't recognize that. It needs all 3 factors to be blatantly stated for it to make a decision. So it wasn't able to deduce that within the question, one of these conditions is nullified.
Okay. So you still think single is the answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it says the answer right in here. It just doesn't realize that it knows the answer.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Let's get down to the REG answer booklet.
Single. There you go.
All right. I want to do kind of one that.
Let's do FAR. Let's get into some guidance here.
Okay.
And for those who don't know what FAR means, financial accounting and reporting.
This is, I would say, the hardest section of the CPA exam. Which of the following is considered part of the required supplementary information for general purpose external financial reporting of a local government? Fund financial statement, combining non-major fund statements, notes to the financial statements, management discussion and analysis.
Yeah, so I would hope that like a fund financial statement is not supplementary information, right? That's part of like the core information.
Yeah.
What's your guess?
I don't know. I don't know why I wanted to say like a fund financial statement. I feel like the government has to provide like these are the funds that we're allocating your money towards. I don't know if I'm interpreting that correctly.
Maybe that isn't the supplementary information. This is us. All right, so
All right.
human struggling through this one. Let's see if the machine.
The required supplementary information for general purpose external financial reporting of local government includes, and it gives us a whole list here, management discussion and analysis, budgetary comparison, defined benefit pension plan, infrastructure, post-employment, tax abatement information. Therefore, the correct answer is management discussion and analysis. All right, let's find out if we got owned by ChatGPT. Management discussion and analysis.
It nailed it. Okay, GPT wins.
That's just it knowing, like it figured out what are the requirements here, and it had the list, and it just was able to identify.
Yeah, was able to.
I want to try this one out here now. This is about accrual accounting here, and
Okay.
I want to know if it understands accrual accounting.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so Lindco's salaries expense for $10,000 is paid every other Friday for the 10 work days then ending. Lynn's employees do not work on Saturdays and Sundays. The last payroll was paid on June 18th. On Wednesday, June 30th, the month-end balances in the salaries expense account before accruals was $14,000. What amount should Lynn report as salary expense in its income statement for the month ended June 30?
Our options are $24,000, $22,000, $20,000, and $18,000.
I like 22.
Yeah, so we'll go 22 because we got 14,000 that we're starting with. We're adding another 8 to it. 8 days at $1,000 a day gets us to $22,000. Let's see what ChatGPT has to say. We've got the whole explanation and the whole breakdown happening here. I really do enjoy the fact that it gives you an in-depth analysis of every component of the calculation that it makes, though this seems to be a little bit overkill and over the top. But it comes up with, therefore, the correct answer is option B, $22,000.
It seemed like it overcomplicated it to get there.
Salaries expense.
I wonder if
equals
4,
totals.
can we punch this into 4 and see
If it comes up with
see
the
if it's
same,
like
how does it-
better
I want
better at
the
explaining it?
explanation,
Yeah. Yeah, here. Okay, this is a way better explanation.
ChatGPT 4 is coming in here doing what I think seems to be the more straightforward explanation, right? 10,000 paid every other Friday for 10 days means $1,000 per workday.
Whoa.
It's saying it's not one of the options provided. Why did it think that it's 9 days? Unless it's thinking it's picking like a recent year. Is there a June 18th that it was on a Thursday recently?
Oh, maybe it's something like that.
And it's thinking we're talking about like last year or something like that. When in the question, again, it doesn't read the question. The question clearly states it's paid on Fridays. June 18th was the last payday, which means June 18th was a Friday.
It's not taking the logic around that and applying it to the question. Then I like how it basically said this is the closest one, so let's guess that
It does get the correct answer.
Ultimately, it gets it right, but
AI guessing.
It didn't do it proper. Yeah, it was good guessing, but not proper. Well, okay, actually, let's go confirm that what the answer is, just to make sure we're not missing.
Where are we at here? Yep.
22,000. There we go.
Okay.
Okay, so that was something else. So 3.5 got it correct and 4 got it wrong.
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming today.
No.
No.
Even though it had a whole roundabout way of getting there, it at least figured out that 8 days is between June 18th. And again, I'm thinking maybe ChatGPT 4 is overthinking it.
Overthinking it. That's interesting. Mm-hmm.
That's right. AI is overthinking.
I like it. All right, I think we got time for one
more. Let's pick a good one. On April 1st, West Company purchased a tract of land as a factory site for $500,000. An old building on the site was razed, and materials salvaged from the demolition were sold. Additional costs incurred and the salvage proceeds realized during April were as follows. Cost to raise the old building, $60,000. Legal fees for purchase contract and to record ownership, $12,000. Title guarantee insurance, $14,000. And proceeds from the sale of salvage materials, $9,000. In its April 30th balance sheet, what amount should West report as land? 586, 577, 551, or 526, all in thousands of dollars. This is...
I know you don't depreciate land.
Okay, so let's...
For our Reddit crew.
We'll break it down here. So we got the land is sold for $500,000, so that's what we're starting at.
Yes.
Now, we have to decide what is the value of the land from this transaction. So $500,000, they got to get rid of the building that's on it. I think that adds, because now you're taking that value away from, you're adding that value to the land because that's what it cost you to get to the land. It's an old building, right? You're doing a favor, right? If you were to buy the land, you don't have to demo it now because I already demoed it.
I can buy into that. Okay.
All right, 560. Legal fees and purchase contract. I think all that gets capitalized.
Then you got
right?
added in there. Yeah, so that's capitalized. So that's another 28 grand.
And then, but you do get some money back from the salvage materials.
Would that offset the cost to raise the
I think
building?
that offsets
and
the
so
cost of
as
raising
such,
the
you net
building.
it all. So it's 60 plus 12 plus 14 minus 9
Yeah.
plus the original 500.
Right, which gets us, I believe, 577.
I can get down with that.
Yeah,
577?
586 minus 9,000.
Yeah. All right.
And ChatGPT, what did you have to say? The correct answer is
Okay.
option B, 577,000.
Same exact logic.
And let's confirm.
Let's check it out.
It is indeed 577,000.
There we go. Sweet. All
Wow.
right. Everyone's right there. Well, now that we know 4 gets it wrong sometimes, you want to run that thing through 4 and see if it comes out the same?
See, this is ChatGPT versus ChatGPT.
Yeah. I didn't think it was going to turn into this. 3.5 versus 4.
This is the part that's interesting. It literally is typing it out at like a human typing speed.
Dude, it's typed so slow.
It could just pop up. It doesn't need to. Like if it knows the answer, is it still thinking?
I do think it's
I'm
a really
buying
cool,
time right now.
I think it's a cool effect when it types out.
Yeah.
It, like really, it hits you. There's something really cool about it. But when it gets slower, you're not as it's not quite as cool.
Because you're used to like you watch The Matrix or one of those shows where you start interacting with computers and it's popping up very quickly. So it does do 500,000 plus 60 plus 12 plus 14 is 586 minus 9,000. Great explanation. Got the correct answer.
Just took a little longer.
Just took a little bit longer.
Yeah. Nice.
But fascinating that audit is the one that it struggled with the most. You want to just run back one of the audit questions?
Yeah, let's
with
do that.
ChatGPT
Yeah, it's
4?
really so in audit. I think it's because it's so subjective. There are really it's frameworks, it's rules. You have to apply your judgment, subjective guys. So that's really interesting. That when I read some of the commentary around what's going to be automated, audit is oftentimes mentioned as one of the areas that's going to be automated. I'm kind of believing based on this that the conceptual components of audit aren't going to be automated. Maybe that real transactional nitty gritty. I'm reviewing this, make sure this bank transaction matches this invoice, contract, all that kind of stuff. But maybe not at the higher level, and like judgment and audit is where people are going to still do really well.
Yeah. So now let's run back the same audit question that we did first for ChatGPT 3.5. Run it through ChatGPT 4, which is about fraudulent activities and which would most likely be perpetrated due to the lack of effective internal controls in the revenue cycle.
Yeah.
Now, ChatGPT 3.5 got this wrong. Will ChatGPT 4.0 get it right?
Yeah, 3.5 thought it was the bonded employees?
Overstatement of receivables and understatement of revenues.
Right, okay, that one, yeah. I want to go back to that one with the employees being bonded versus the industry decline.
So ChatGPT 4.0 got it right.
All right.
Authorization of credit memos by personnel who receive cash may permit the misappropriation of cash. So ChatGPT 4 is taking it an extra level and actually thinking about some of the human components. So this is actually pretty scary when it comes to like ChatGPT 5. Is it going to be starting to now think how humans think? ChatGPT 3.5 seems to be the logical, here's the information, here's the answer.
Let's do that declining industry one. What would be encouraging for management to commit fraud? Do you remember?
Okay.
It was like the second one we asked, I think.
All right. This one, ChatGPT 3.5, got this one wrong as well. Let's find out how GPT 4 goes. And again,
and we were sitting there saying it's because it didn't apply logic or understand the situation, and that's why it got it wrong. So I'm curious if 4 improves it. Let's just read it one more time. So, which of the following characteristics most likely would heighten an auditor's concern about the risk of material misstatement arising from fraudulent financial reporting? So option 1, bank reconciliations usually include in-transit deposits. Pretty normal. Equipment is often sold at a loss before being fully depreciated. Pretty normal. The entity's industry is experiencing declining customer demand. That's something that could encourage fraud there. And then the last option is employees who handle cash receipts are not bonded. Neither Drew nor I knew what the heck that was about, so we just decided no on that one. That was what 3.5 thought it was.
Yeah.
We were correct with the declining customer demand answer. Let's see what 4 says.
The entity's industry is experiencing declining customer demand.
4 is better.
So ChatGPT 4 knows how to think what are humans actually psychologically going on in their head.
All right, well, this has been a really cool episode.
Yeah, this has been eye-opening.
I think the take is, we've kind of summarized it already, but very good at BEC, REG, FAR, nailed those. 3.5 was struggling on audit because of some of the judgment and everything, but 4 started to get much better at that. So this is really interesting. And I think it was like a 2-month time frame between when 3.5 was released versus 4. So this is progressing very quickly.
I think we should do a follow-up when they have the next iteration and start to see if we can identify those real like ethical questions that are you have to really go to the next level of like human psychology to answer and see how it does.
We should snag the California ethics exam.
Ooh.
If we can get any sample questions from that. I don't want to steal the test. Sure.
Unethical.
I'm not feeling ethics guidance there, but those are brutal. Those are so hard, and I would love to see if it can answer any of those. If we can get some sample questions from the ethics exam.
That's a really good aspect, yeah.
Yeah, but this has been eye-opening. This is very cool to see this progress. I think I still feel the same way. I think it's going to be an incredible tool for accountants to get better at what they do. But man, this was really, really cool to see all this play out.
Yeah, so overall, I would say I think the ChatGPT is getting to the point where it might be able to pass soon. Right now, I still think it depends on which version you're using, depends on the questions, how they're worded. It seems, again, I think if you were to go through all the questions on the CPA exam, just given how complex they make the questions with like nonsense, and again, it wasn't able to necessarily pick out the fact that like the widower question, it wasn't able to necessarily read into the question and like the facts that are part of that. That could trip it up a little bit, but again, you only need 75 to pass. So
you only need 75 to pass the CPA exam. So I think it's close to getting there. However, I will say in real life, you need more like 100% accuracy. So I would not rely on GPT quite yet and consult your CPA for any guidance.
Yeah. So this has been a really fun episode. It was great going through this.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. We hope it was interesting. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you don't feel too concerned about AI taking over. But this was fascinating to see it play out.
Well, that wraps it up. ChatGPT taking the CPA exam. Didn't quite pass yet, but getting really close to passing. We'll see how the future iterations go and definitely do a follow-up video on that. So make sure you like and subscribe. And if you're interested in getting some laughs, we got a comedy series about accountants. It's called PBC on our YouTube channel. And that about does it for us here at FloQast and FloQast Studios.
Yeah, hope you enjoyed the episode. Super informative for me. Hope you got something good out of it, and we hope to see you next time.